What's something a toxic coworker did that made the whole office go silent? Coworker lost his elderly mom and dad in the same week. One expected soon anyway, one not so expected. Took a couple of weeks off compassionate leave to organize everything and grieve. The timing was horrendous for the team, but these things aren't exactly scheduled in, are they? Manager moaned. But it is what it is. Sorry for your loss and let us know if you need anything is the only correct response. On his return, toxic manager commented in his first meeting back to work that both parents going in the same week was convenient because he wouldn't need more time off in the near future, leaving us in the shit. This is the same manager who a few months later told an employee to maybe give up trying when she took a week off following her third miscarriage. Moaning she had time off for the first two, he was let go shortly after. Because this is just two examples of how toxic he was. Dude, people don't freak out at shitty managers enough. I'm in an office now, but framed houses and dealt with construction workers for 15 years. If I heard any of this or the other stuff posted in the thread by others, I'd be losing my shit on them and dragging it up the chain as far as possible. There is such a thing as too much nice. I've been fired more than once for speaking out very loudly about bullshit, regardless of my place on the org chart, and I'd can do it again. Supervisor stormed into break room while everyone was having a 15-minute coffee break, told everyone off for taking a break and talking too loudly. If that's not bad enough, we had a part-time/casual employee who would come in to do a specific task when needed. Sometimes she'd be there 2 to 3 days a week. Sometimes we wouldn't see her for a few weeks, all depending on demand. She showed up about 2 minutes before the boss came and freaked out. During the freak out, the boss singled her out, saying that everyone had so much free time to take coffee breaks, then we probably didn't need her to come in on a casual basis, and that she should look for another job. Everyone went silent, dispersed from the break room. A few minutes later, the part-time/casual lady held back tears as she went into his office to give him her time card for the previous week. No one was upset when that supervisor got transferred. Crazy how you can go absolutely ballistic at work, crash out, and not get fired. A principal in my district will, as retaliation, move teachers at his elementary school from their preferred teaching position, the one they have all their practical experience and accrued resources in, to a position they are certificated to teach but have no practical experience in. It's not that the previous position no longer exists. He either hires a new teacher or rewards a favored teacher by giving them the position, thereby ostracizing them from other staff. He did it again this year. The same day the news went through the district, I got an email from a non-district teacher advocate publication titled, "Why Do So Many Toxic Principals Fail Upward?" That talked about the phenomenon of principals and admin engaging in bullying, retaliation, and sexual harassment toward employees, and in some cases even students, only for them to be transferred elsewhere in the district when their behavior grew so egregious it could no longer be ignored. Basically, the article said the same thing is happening in education that has happened in police departments and with countless other employers. The sector is responsible for investigating itself. There is no independent community investigatory panel they must submit concerns to. And of course, for the management class, HR prefers transfers over accountability. A transfer is simple. Move the offender to a different department. Hope they're out of sight, out of mind. Accountability means paperwork as contracts are terminated, jobs are posted, and potential candidates are vetted and interviewed and eventually hired. Accountability means explanations to the public. Accountability means potential lawsuits. Accountability is expensive, time-consuming, and embarrassing, especially the longer they turn a blind eye to the toxic asset. So, toxic managers in every field fail upward because they suck so bad that nobody wants to work with them. But HR doesn't want the black eye that comes with admitting they hired and maintained a toxic asset. I work worked in corporate marketing/sales. We worked on commission based on marketing campaigns that we created. Last year, we got a new boss who decided to restructure our commission, effectively cutting our pay by about 25 to 30%. Morale became quite low. A month after this happened, she called us all into a meeting. She then showed us a chart for the past year where we had almost tripled profits for the company. This was met with stunned silence. "Hey guys," she said, "where's the enthusiasm? Aren't you happy with these numbers?" Flat, tone-deaf silence. The outrage was palpable. I wanted to say something, as I'm sure others did, but I didn't. I just found a different job a few months later. Edit. To be clear, the pay cut had not gone into effect yet at the time of the meeting, and the charts reflected the past year, so we tripled profits for them, and the reward was a pay cut. The pay cut did not influence the profits. That was all us. I worked for a company that brought in a new CTO. After a month or so, he realized that because of a labor code loophole, we were getting 1.5x pay for working overtime. But the company only needed to pay us 1x. So he called a meeting and told us that to stay in line with the law, they were cutting OT pay. A month later, he calls another meeting and with full sincerity, not a hint of understanding, asks the full room, "Why is nobody working overtime anymore? Our ticket queues are a mess." We were in the women's bathroom in the morning and a coworker walked in after extended maternity leave. Everyone greeted her and asked her how her baby was. She was smiling at first, but as soon as we mentioned her baby, her face fell. She went a bit pale. She said it died. Before anyone could say anything, another woman right in front of her replied with, "My baby is gorgeous. She's just 4 months and she laughs beautifully." Good Lord. I'm horrible at reading the room, and even I know enough to keep my mouth shut. The lady who lost her baby has a heart of gold. She put a smile on her face and started polite inquiries after the other woman's baby. I, on the other hand, stood there at an utter loss for words. He made a flippant comment about a coworker just being fat all along, less than a month after she had a miscarriage. HR got involved? I hope he got kicked out. I started my career at a federal agency and worked with a guy who was extremely troubled and just weird as shit in general. He did all kinds of crazy stuff. But the thing that kind of shook the whole office was an email he sent out one morning. He was evidently dating another employee in a different division of the agency, and they broke up. So he sent out this email to like 200 coworkers with the subject line, "Please respect our privacy." He then rattled off like 3 pages of narrative explaining every detail of his relationship with this woman who broke up with him. And it concluded with, "So we will no longer be getting married." I will never forget the morning that email went out and the whole office went silent for like 5 minutes. No typing, no phone calls, no small talk, just a bunch of people trying to wrap their heads around what they just read. Nobody knew they were dating. Nobody cared if they broke up. It was not ever going to become a topic of office conversation until he brought it to everybody's attention in the weirdest way possible. Then, to make it worse, the woman found out and was like, "Married? We went out like 5 times." So somehow this guy thought that casual dating was a guaranteed path to marriage, and he had to announce to everybody that the marriage was off. So fucking weird. This is my absolute favorite so far. The office collectively getting quiet while reading the email belongs in a movie. The guy who sent a racist joke by email and he used the company global address. That went to everyone in Ireland, UK, China, Africa, the EU, Canada, the US, and Mexico. This happened at my company too. Corporate deleted it very quickly, but most people had seen it. We don't have offices in Africa or Mexico, otherwise I might think we work for the same company. He was trying to send it to his friend and accidentally CC'd the corporate global distribution email address. Wow. And here I thought ripping lines of blows like 10 a.m. on a Tuesday at a cubicle with no actual walls was going to win this. When I worked in retail, I was training a new guy. At the very first break of his very first day, we are at a table in the break room making small talk, and just suddenly, "So, do you shave your pussy?" It got quiet in there fast. I got up and walked to the manager's office, and word had gotten there before I did. They told me to take the rest of the day off with pay. I was told he got up a few minutes later and just walked out the front door. One coworker's father had had a stroke. This happened on a Thursday when we were pretty busy. The next week, another coworker asked if the father was going to have a stroke every Thursday, as it was really disruptive to the workflow. At the first department meeting following my mother's death, our boss read through the minutes from the last meeting. Then she paused and added, "Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Lisa's mom died last week. Okay, first agenda item?" Usually at my workplace, if a coworker's family member died, everyone was free to go to the funeral if they chose. Owner made this rule: we get a new department supervisor. When my mom passed away, unbeknownst to me, he sent out an email to my coworkers stating that my mom's funeral was going to be a family-only private affair. So none of my coworkers came to my mom's funeral. Some of these people were very good friends of mine, and I was very hurt by that. When I got back to work after a few days off, that's when I found out our new supervisor had done this. This is just one of many things this asshole did. You, Alan, forever. I was in a line in the cafeteria, and the lunch lady was chatting about her boyfriend as she was making my sandwich. She was talking about what a great guy he was and how happy he made her. I said, "I am really happy for you, and I really hope I can meet someone like that someday." And she said, "You probably never will." You could hear a pin drop in the line behind me. I ended up just leaving without my sandwich. Not an office, but mixed ammonia with bleach to create, in his words, a super cleaner, and gassed the entire kitchen and dining room. Cooks and dishwashers were out back vomiting. The restaurant was evacuated, and the entire evening shift's meals were comped. We had an employee celebration hosted in a casino ballroom. From the jump, everyone was disappointed that we were not in fact partying at a casino, but instead being held hostage by the most god-awful motivational speaker to grace God's green earth. The organizer of the event was a well-known loon in the company. At the end of the speaker's rant, she rushed on stage, grabbed the mic, and proceeded to trauma dump her suicide attempt story to all 200 of us. Could have heard a pin drop, AMD then some. Shit was wild. I worked at a restaurant in the late 90s. There was this asshole cook who always told the female servers how much he liked tacos. He finally got fired when one of the servers got her braces off, and everyone in the back of the restaurant was complimenting her smile. He responds with, "I'd like to see your other smile." He was 28, she was 17. He just looked at everyone like he was funny. Since it was a Friday night, he was fired later that evening after the dinner rush. Ask a head chef, I too have waited until the end of a weekend rush to bounce a line cook. Except for the incident where the pantry girl stabbed the saucier, who deserved it. You can't just throw that out there without saying why the saucier got stabbed. He was Eastern European and racist. She was Jamaican and lived in Toronto. It was inevitable. Thanks for watching. Watch our other videos and subscribe. Thanks, bye.